break, a sabbatical, and then came to SPAR. And when I saw SPAR with the position, I thought, wow, this is very difficult. Huh? Within 400 meters, on average square meters, you can't have the role and the competition with real supermarkets with 1,200 or more square meters. You have to focus on a different role. And then I looked for what is the strength of SPAR actually today already, in 2009. We are small, the underdog position, but there were also some very successful entrepreneurs. So I looked, what are you doing? And they were having a neighborhood store with a high level of service, knowing what was going on in the village, servicing people, delivering already, before online was even started, let's say in the Netherlands, they had already delivering groceries and food to people. They sometimes even had the keys of their doors and bring it into the refrigerator. Trust, services. So I thought that is what you can do as a small store, because that's back to, let's say, the DNA of an independent retailer. So there was no reason, looking at the market, looking at the development of consumer behavior, not to believe in a neighborhood store. Oh, and by the way, that was all SPAR was about. They only had stores of, well, let's say on average 440 square meters. There were some larger, but so it was already there. Well, the third fault in that was there is a huge gap in confidence between, let's say, the wholesale company, SPAR Holding, at one side, and the entrepreneurs at the other side. And the third thing I thought, what I have to do is close that gap. I didn't know how in the first stage, but I thought I need to go to all the entrepreneurs, have a strong communication with them, listening to them, but at the same time convincing them that we have to do it in a different way. Building that trust, that confidence, that was the main challenge. And that building that confidence was also, was most important with your independent retailers, but was also within your own organization. Building the confidence that the strategy, building a store, a neighborhood store, focused on, with more focus on convenience, focused on daily shoppings, that could be very successful, that could work. And that we have to be honest, back to the question earlier, yeah, I didn't have any guarantee that it would work. We thought we have to, how can we speed up the whole development of this format? We did it by starting a new store, a city store. So what we did actually is a kind of convenience store with more focus on convenience and less on neighborhood in the inner cities. And that turned out to be very successful. So then all of a sudden you were with 3-4 stores in the inner cities with a new concept, which gives a huge development internal in the organization, but also to the independent retailers, where you could show them that even in an inner city, even on smaller square meters, 200 to 300, you could be very successful. And then we started to implement elements of that city store into the neighborhood store, adding new stores like the city stores, and like, for example, where we built 9 university stores, which were at the other side of the spectrum in terms of being modern. And then you refurbished a lot of stores, and then people in the consumers started to talk about SPAR. So you change the image. You change. We are now instead of that we are old-fashioned and outdated, we are modern, hip, cool, and the students from the universities going to tell their parents in the village where they came from that SPAR at the university was a very cool store. So that change went by itself at the very moment you started to become successful with the city stores, with the elements of the city stores in the neighborhood stores, by refurbishing. I'm not on a daily basis with every independent retailer or with my own people. So you have to have a group of people around you, which you can do it together. And together means that you have to bring everybody in a position to make their own decision, to have their own accountability. The human factor is very important in every, not only in change processes, but also in leadership at the first place. It's not for nothing that you can see that a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and I saw that within Nexida as well, are not successful, not because the business case doesn't fit or isn't correct, but because the people together are not moving along. Different ideas, different characters, different egos, and that leads to failure. Small is beautiful, humans are key. It was really a learning after 9 years of SPAR, with all the emotions of independent retailers, with all the emotions of the people within the organization, is that leadership is about being very close to all those people, and at the same time, if you spend all your energy and time in fulfilling that leadership in that way, being very close to your own people, but also very close to your independent retailers, by being very approachable, by being very often in their stores, by listening to their stories, also their personal stories and their family lives, by being reasonable when it goes to financial decisions, understanding their position, helping them, but at the same time being very tough and clear if it's necessary, then is the most important learning for myself. And don't take everything that seriously, and especially not yourself. And you are not that important. And that's true because they went through when I left, and they are still very successful. So it's not about me. So don't take yourself as a leader that serious.